Hi everyone. So in today's session, we will be going to study about the reproduction in humans. Let's start. So first, we have to understand the term reproduction. Okay. So reproduction means what? It is the biological process by which an organism reproduces an offspring, and this offspring must be similar to the parent organism. Okay. So reproduction means what? It is the process of producing an offspring that are biologically or genetically similar to the parent organism. So this is known as the reproduction. Okay. So basically it enables and ensures that the continuity of the species or generation after the generation, right? So we can say it is the main feature of the life on the earth. And now let us have a detailed overview of the reproduction. Okay, so basically there are two types of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction as well as the sexual reproduction. So here you can see they have mentioned few examples in asexual reproduction, that is unicellular organisms, hydras and sweet potatoes. Okay, and in sexual reproduction there comes the humans, chickens and butterflies. Okay, so this is the few examples they have mentioned here. First, let us study what is asexual reproduction. So, here in asexual reproduction, the mode of reproduction in which the offspring comes from the single organisms, okay, and not from the union of the gametes as it is in the sexual reproduction. Okay, so here the mode of the reproduction is in which the offsprings come from the single parent, okay, and not from the union of the gametes, whereas in sexual reproduction there is a fusion of the male and female gametes, right? So in asexual reproduction what happens here, the offsprings comes from the single organisms and not from the union of the gametes. And here in the asexual reproduction, meiosis is usually not needed to complete the process. Okay, whereas in sexual reproduction, meiosis is needed, and in asexual reproduction, meiosis is not required, or not required in the sense it is not needed to complete the process. And the different types of the asexual reproductions are binary fission, budding, vegetative reproduction, sporogenesis, fragmentation, parthenogenesis, and apomixis. So these are the types of the asexual reproduction. And the examples of the asexual reproduction you can say, that is hydra, sea star, strawberries, and yeast. So they reproduce, so these species they reproduce by the asexual reproduction. Okay, so next we will move towards the sexual reproduction, right? So the sexual reproduction, it is the mode of reproduction involving the fusion of the haploid female gamete. Remember, it is the mode of reproduction which is involving the fusion of the haploid female gamete, that is the egg cell, right, and the haploid male gamete, that is the sperm cell. So the fusion of these gametes occurs at fertilization, resulting in the formation of the diploid zygote. Okay, so the sexual reproduction means what? The production of the new organisms by the combination of the genetic information of two individuals of the different sexes, that is the female gamete as well as the male gamete, egg cell and the sperm cells. They fuse and they form the zygote. Okay, so the zygote develops into the individual organisms that is genetically distinct from the parent organism. And this is in contrast to the asexual reproduction, where an organism reproduces without involving the gametes, and the resulting offspring is in the clone of the parent. And here, as I said, the meiosis is required step to produce the gametes. Okay, so now we came to know what is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Yeah, and the examples here you can see humans, sharks, butterflies, and chickens, and etc. So there are many species which undergo sexual reproduction. Okay, so now we have understood what is reproduction and types of the reproduction, that is asexual reproduction as well as the sexual reproduction. Now we will move towards the next slide, that is reproductive system. Fine. So now what are the reproductive systems? Here you can see the tissues, glands and the organs which involve in producing the offspring. Okay, so they are known as the reproductive systems, right? So in woman, the reproductive system includes the ovaries, fallopian tube, uterus and cervix as well as the vagina. And in men, you can see it includes the prostate and the testes, also the penis. First we will understand the reproductive system in the male. Okay, so we have first we will study about the male reproductive system and its functions. Here, the male reproductive system includes a group of organs that make up a man's reproductive and urinary system. Okay, and these reproductive systems of the male, they reproduce and maintain and transport the cells which are known as the sperm cells, right? And also they produce, maintain and transport the semen. Semen means it is the protective fluid around the sperm. Okay, so the male reproductive system includes the group of organs that make up the male's reproductive and urinary systems, and they produce, maintain and transport the sperm cells as well as the semen. Semen means what? It is the protective fluid around the sperm cells, and these discharge the sperm into the female reproductive tract. Okay, so the male reproductive systems, they discharge the sperm cells into the female reproductive tract. So this male reproductive system, it produce and secrete the male sex hormones. Okay, so the male reproductive system, it is made up of two body parts, that is internal body part and external body part. So these organs, they help to urinate and have sexual intercourse and make the children's. And the primary hormones which are involved in functioning the male reproductive system are follicle stimulating hormone, that is known as the FSH, and luteinizing hormone, that is known as LH, and also the testosterone. So these are the hormones, they are the primary hormones which are involved in functioning the male reproductive system, that is FSH, LH and testosterone. FSH means what? Follicle stimulating hormone, and LH means luteinizing hormone. So the FSH and LH hormones, so they are produced by the pituitary glands. Okay, so the FSH and LH, they are produced by the pituitary glands, and they are located at the base of your brain, and these are responsible for many functions. Okay, so the FSH, it is responsible for sperm production. Okay, and LH, it stimulates the production of the testosterone. The testosterone hormone, it is also an important in development of the male characteristics, including the muscle mass and the strength, fat distribution, bone mass and the sex drive. So this was about the male reproductive system. Now moving towards female reproductive system. So here the female reproductive system is a group of organs that work together to enable the reproductions, pregnancy and the childbirth. So it also produces the female sex hormones. Okay, so the female reproductive system, it produces the female sex hormones, including the progesterone as well as the estrogen. So this system, it consists of organs and tissues inside the body, and some that are visible outside and some they are internal. Okay, so the parts of the female reproductive system, they are ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix and vagina. And another organ, that is the clitoris, extends both inside and outside the body. So clitoris, it extends both outside as well as the inside body part. So the external area surrounding the vagina is the vulva. Okay, so it is the another body part, clitoris as well as the vulva. So the female reproductive system, it is composed of pair of ovaries along with the oviduct, vagina, cervix, uterus, and the external genitalia that are located in the pelvic region. So these parts, along with a pair of mammary glands that are integrated both functionally and structurally, also they support the process of the ovulation, fertilization, birth, and finally the child care. So it has a several important functions. Okay, so the female reproductive system, it helps in releasing the eggs which can potentially be fertilized by the sperm, and producing the female sex hormones such as the progesterone and estrogen, and providing an environment for the fertilized egg to develop during the pregnancy, facilitating the labor and the childbirth. So this was all about the female reproductive system. So now moving towards the next concept, that is fertilization. So human fertilization is defined as the union of the egg cell as well as the sperm cell, so to cause the pregnancy. Okay, so it is the fusion between the female reproductive organ, that is the egg cell, and male reproductive organ, that is the sperm cell. And in humans, the fertilization is an internal process, so it takes place inside the body of the females, and particularly in the fallopian tubes. Okay, so now you may have a question, how many eggs does a woman have? Okay, so I can tell you, so during the fetal life, okay, so there are about 6 million to 7 million eggs. So from this time no new eggs are produced. Right. At the birth, there are approximately 1 million eggs, and by the time of the puberty, only 3 lakh remain. And of this 3 lakhs eggs, only 300 to 400 will be ovulated during the woman's reproductive lifetime. And the fertility can drop as a woman ages due to the decreasing number and quality of remaining eggs. Okay, so there are only 300 to 400 will be ovulated. So 300 to 400 eggs will be ovulated during the woman's reproductivity lifetime. And now if we talk about the fertilization, so it is defined as the union of the two gametes, that is the egg as well as the sperm. So moving towards the process of the fertilization, so the sperm are ejected from the male reproductive organs, that is known as the penis, and the sperm enters the female body through the reproductive organ, that is known as the vagina. Okay, so the sperms enter the female reproductive organs through the vagina, and the sperm travels through the uterus and the fallopian tube. So the sperm will travel to the uterus and to the fallopian tube. So in fallopian tubes, it meets the egg produced by the female reproductive organ. So the fertilization takes place in the fallopian tubes. Okay, so the fertilization results in the formation of the zygote, which develops into the embryo. Okay, so then the zygote is the beginning stage of the new individual. So now we will come to know about the development of the fetus and placenta. At the end of the 8th week after fertilization, that is the 10th week of the pregnancy, the embryo is considered as the fetus. Okay, so during this stage, the structures that have already formed grow and develop. So by the 12th week of the pregnancy, the fetus will fill the entire uterus, and in 14th week, the sex of the baby can be identified. And during the 16 to 20 weeks, that is typically the pregnant woman can feel the fetus moving. Okay, that is the moment of the baby. By the 24th week, the fetus has a chance of survival outside the uterus. So the lungs continue to mature until near the time of the delivery, and the brain accumulates the new cells throughout the pregnancy and the first year of life after the birth. So now we will move towards the concept that is pregnancy. As the placenta develops, it extends a tiny hair-like projection that is known as a villi into the wall of the uterus. So the projection branch and the rebranch in complicated tree-like arrangements. Okay, so the projections will be very complicated, like tree-like structures or hair-like structures. So this arrangement greatly increases the area of the contact between the wall of the uterus and the placenta, and so that more nutrients and waste materials can be exchanged. So the placenta is fully formed by the 18th to 20 weeks, but continues to grow throughout the pregnancy. And at the delivery time, the baby weighs around the 1 pound. So I hope this concept was helpful for you. So in this session, we studied what is the reproduction, types of the reproduction, male reproductive organs and female reproductive organs, and the fertilization process, and also the development of the embryo, and also the stages during pregnancy. I hope you guys understood well. Thank you.